Welcome to Linguistics India. If you are preparing for CUET PG in Linguistics, if you are aspiring to join a university for your master's degree in Linguistics, then you are watching the right video. So today we are going to talk about human and non-human communication. Like human beings, animals also communicate with each other, right? Without communication, how do they live in the same society? So certainly they also communicate. However, human language is strikingly different from animal communication. Alright, so in 1960, C.F. Hockett, Charles Francis Hockett, conducted a study on human language, and he found out that there are 13 distinctive features. Those are called design features of human language that set them apart from animal communication. Alright, so in this unit we are going to talk about how human communication or human language is different from animal communication. And remember one thing, when we talk about human language, we are talking about the spoken language, right? Because that is natural. Written scripts and all these things, these came up later. Alright, so here we are going to talk about the difference between animal communication and human language. So the first feature of human language is that its channel is vocal auditory. So when we speak, we produce linguistic signals through our organs of speech and our vocal tract, right? On the other hand, when we receive signals, when we receive messages, we use our auditory system, right? So that's why it is said that our channel is vocal auditory. We use a vocal auditory channel. The second feature is about broadcast transmission and directional reception. So speech sounds are emitted as waveforms that spread in all directions. Suppose you are the speaker. Okay? So whenever you speak, it spreads to all directions, right? On the other hand, your listeners, if you're a listener, then you will hear whatever the speaker is saying from only one direction, right? So that is broadcast transmission and directional reception. When you are the speaker, your voice is transmitted and it spreads in all directions. But when you listen, it comes to you from only one direction, right? From the speaker. So this is another feature of human language. Transitoriness. It says that linguistic signals are inherently temporal as sound waves quickly fade after they are produced, a phenomenon known as rapid fading. Okay, transitoriness and rapid fading. So when you speak something or when you listen something, sometimes it happens that when you are in the classroom and the teacher says something, you miss out certain things, right? Why? Because they fade out immediately. Whenever we speak, our speech fades out immediately. If you don't decode the message at the same moment, you will lose it, right? So remember, as I have already told you, we are talking about natural language, and our primary focus is on speech, right? If I send you a message on WhatsApp or if I send an email to you, certainly it will be there for a long time. But anyway, we are talking about spoken language, right? Because that is primary. So this phenomenon is called rapid fading. It fades out immediately. But on the other hand, there are some features of non-human communication that stays there for a long time. For example, a dog pees, right, to mark its territory, and it remains there for a longer time. That's also communication, you can say, but again, it is different from human communication. Whenever I speak something, if you don't listen to me carefully, then it will immediately fade out, right? That's another feature of human language. Interchangeability. So If I speak something, I am the speaker. If I give you the chance to speak, then you will speak, right? Then I will be the listener. When I am speaking, you are the listener. When you are speaking, I am the listener. This is known as interchangeability. Humans possess the ability to both produce and understand the same linguistic signals, allowing for the exchange of roles between speaker and listener during communication. This interchangeability facilitates turn-taking and ensures effective linguistic interaction. Right? So we use the same signals, right? But at the same time, we also get the opportunity to change our roles in communication, right? So that's known as interchangeability. The next one, total feedback. Humans are capable of perceiving the linguistic signals they produce, enabling them to monitor and adjust their output. This self-awareness ensures that the intended message is effectively communicated to others, right? So we get feedback, right? Whenever we deliver a speech, for example, I'm saying something wrong now. If I know that I said something wrong, I can immediately correct it. If I feel like I mispronounced a word, I can immediately correct it. If I also feel that there is some ambiguity in my message, if it is not clear, then again I can make it clear, right? That feature is known as total feedback. We are capable of analyzing our linguistic signals, right? Specialization. So human language is solely for communication. Its main purpose is communication, right? On the other hand, you may see that a dog barks when it sees a stranger, maybe a thief, but the dog doesn't necessarily informs its owner, right? It barks, and that's how the owner comes to know that someone is there, some stranger is there. But its main purpose, the dog's main purpose, was not to inform the owner about the arrival of a stranger. Not necessarily, right? So again, a dog's panting to cool down might also signal its need for water, right? So the owner may give it a bowl of water, but that is not the intention of the dog, right? It pants naturally, that is biological, right? But through its panting, its owner can come to know that it needs water, right? But that was not the primary the primary goal of the dog, to inform its owner, right? Semanticity. Each language signal corresponds to a specific meaning, creating a stable association between signals and their reference. For instance, the substance referred to as salt in English is called sel in French, illustrating how different languages use distinct signals to represent the same concept. So it is very simple. It focuses on meaning. Okay. You may refer to the same thing in different languages, right? For example, this is boy. In English it is boy. In Hindi it is ladka, right? So this is how you may use different words, but your sole purpose is to convey some meaning, right? So that is semanticity. Arbitrariness. What is arbitrariness now? What is the meaning of arbitrary? It is random. Okay, so there was a philosopher, John Locke. He talks about the arbitrary imposition of meaning on words. What does he mean by that? So here we have a word like dog, right? And it refers to the actual animal. All right? It refers to the actual animal, you can say. But there is no connection between the word and the animal. All right? You can also call it a cat, right? Is there any logic behind why you call it a dog? No, right? Certainly it will be wrong if you call it cat, but there is no logic behind that. Alright, so there is no reason behind why this thing is called a tree, right? There is no reason behind why a dog is called a dog, why a cat is called a cat. So it is very arbitrary, very random, right? So there is no natural connection between a linguistic signal and its meaning. So there is no connection between, no natural connection between the word tree and the actual tree. Alright, so this is the feature known as arbitrariness. Discreteness. Language consists of discrete sounds, discrete units such as phonemes and morphemes that are distinct and categorizable. For example, if I take this word cat, right? So if I give you this word, you can easily identify all the three sounds present in the language, present in the word, right? So further, this is one morpheme, right? Cat is one morpheme. If you add the plural marker, again, if I say cats, you will again be able to identify the different morphemes, right? So this is called discreteness. Displacement. A dog cannot say what it is going to do the next day, right? Or what it did the previous day. But human beings can talk about what they are going to do tomorrow, what they did yesterday, right? What they are going to do in India, what they are going to do in England, maybe, right? So it implies that human language enables us to discuss entities or events not present in the immediate environment. Tomorrow is not there in the immediate environment. Yesterday is already gone, right? But still we can refer to tomorrow and yesterday, right? I am in India right now, but I can still talk about London, right? Or New York. So that is another feature, that is displacement. Productivity. Whatever I am saying now is heard by you for the first time, right? I mean the exact words. So I have the knowledge of my language, of any language. I mean, it can be any language. And using the knowledge of my language, I can generate or produce many sentences, right? So that is called productivity. It is not like I have memorized whatever I am going to speak in front of you today, right? So that feature is called productivity. Cultural transmission. Okay. Suppose you were born in an Assamese family, okay, but you were raised by a Bengali family. Which language will you speak? Certainly Bengali, right? If you are adopted by or raised by a Bengali family, because it is not genetic. Language is not genetic. All right. Just because your parents are Assamese, it doesn't mean that you will naturally speak Assamese. It depends upon the culture surrounded by, the culture that surrounds you. So while human language are biologically predisposed to acquire language, the specific language they learn depends on the social and cultural environment. So if you always hear people speaking Bengali around you, then certainly you will not speak Assamese, you will speak Bengali. You may have no idea about this language, right? So that is cultural transmission. Duality of patterning. Human language operates on two levels of organization. Basic speech sounds known as phonemes to form morphemes, which in turn combine to create words and sentences. So using sounds like these three, you can create a word, that is cat, right? Again, you can form the word cats. Again, you can form a sentence using the word cat, right? So the next feature that we are going to talk about is known as discreteness. So language consists of discrete units such as phonemes and morphemes that are distinct and categorizable, right? So if I pronounce this word cat, you can identify that there are three sounds: k, a, and t, right? So this is how I have created a word. You can identify the different sounds. If I say cats, again, you can identify that there are two morphemes. One is cat and the other is this sound, right? So this feature is known as discreteness. Alright. Displacement. So a dog cannot talk about what it is going to do tomorrow. It cannot talk about what it did yesterday, right? It cannot talk about what is going on in some other place, right? But human beings can do that. We can say what we are going to do tomorrow. We can say what we did yesterday, right? We can also say what we are doing here. We can say what we can do in some other country, right? So that is known as displacement. Human language enables speakers to discuss entities or events not present in the immediate environment. Alright? So entities or events. So maybe you can talk about what you are going to do in London tomorrow. Right? You can talk about what the Prime Minister or President of another country is doing. Right? Although they are not present here. Right? So this feature is known as displacement. Productivity. Okay, so whatever I'm speaking now, okay, forget about me. So okay, so you must have spoken many sentences today, right? In the past 24 hours. But had you memorized those sentences? No, right? So you know the sounds of your language. You know how to form words and sentences in your language, right? So that feature is known as productivity, right? So it is not like you have memorized, someone had already spoken these sentences and you memorized them and that's how you spoke them. It is not the case, right? You know how to utter words, you know how to utter sentences, right? So this feature is known as productivity. Language allows for the creation of an infinite number of novel utterances reflecting its openness and creativity. So human language is creative, right? It can allow you to be creative. So it's not like you are copying someone else's sentences. You can create your own sentences. Additionally, there is another feature known as reflexivity. It is the ability to use language to discuss language itself. The best example is linguistics. When we talk about linguistics, right? In linguistics, what do? We talk about different languages, right? That is known as reflexivity. We use language to describe or discuss language itself. So another feature that we have here is known as cultural transmission. Right? It basically says that while humans are biologically predisposed to acquire language, the specific language they learn depends on their social and cultural environment. So language is not biological, right? Your ability to acquire a language is biological. It may be biological, but the language that you speak depends upon your environment, your social and cultural environment. For example, your biological parents are Assamese, right? But you were raised by Telugu parents, right? In that case, certainly you may have some features, some bodily features that you have got from your parents, but the language that you will speak will certainly not be Assamese but Telugu. Because since your birth, you have been listening to people talking in Telugu, right? So this is how you acquire the language. So it is based on your social and cultural environment, right? It is not biological. You don't get the language from your parents biologically, right? It depends upon the culture that surrounds you. So this is known as cultural transmission. Duality of patterning. Language operates on two levels of organization. Basic speech sounds known as phonemes, and they combine to form morphemes. For example, k, a and t. These three sounds combine to form a morpheme, that is cat, right? And morphemes are used to create words. So this sir, right? Cats, in the word cats, this sir is another morpheme, right? So you combine these two morphemes to form a word, and then you combine many words to form sentences, right? So this is known as duality of patterning. So as you know, we have come up with a coaching program for those who want to pursue a master's degree in linguistics in any Indian university. So it was a demo session, right? It was a demo session. If you liked this session, please feel free to contact us so that we can talk about the structure of our program.